Neil Walker joining us now to discuss, and Neil is brought to you by Rhino Shield. Never paint again, Rhino Shield. Neil, I would say, man, at least for my money, that Saturday at PNC Park, the most unforgettable regular season day in PNC Park history. Agree?
I would agree with that. What a bizarre day, both with the weather and how that game ended. But, it went from being ugly weather-wise and then being beautiful for the first 5 innings, and then not so beautiful both from the weather and from a playing standpoint. But nonetheless, like you said, it was an unforgettable day. I had a great time. I took my daughter down and met some friends and enjoyed the game, and got to see Paul Skenes first time up close and personal.
Neil, let's get to it. Let's get straight to it. What grade do you give Paul Skenes in his debut?
I thought that there would be some jitters. I thought that there would be some, some command issues, and not that there was necessarily an alarming amount of command issues, but it's ultimately what ended his day earlier than what people had hoped. But the stuff is real. And the stuff is serious. I mean, the fastball, the movement. We saw the split sinker a lot, especially to the left-handed hitters, and it was a really good pitch, especially as a somewhat that equalizing pitch, a 1-0, 2-0, 2-1 pitch to get back in counts. That's going to be important for him. I mean, he understands. You can already tell that he understands that he's not just going to be able to blow away big league hitters every start. So he's going to have to rely on the slider, curveball, changeup, and split sinker mixture. So I was really encouraged. I thought that, that first day out, there's going to be some jitters. There's going to be some, there were a few stressful situations like the second inning. I thought he navigated them pretty well. And his bottom line would have been pretty good outside of what ended up happening there in the sixth inning.
Did they err in not pulling him after 4, Neil, or were you happy that they let him try to go out there for the 5th?
Yeah, no, I was happy to see him out there. I was obviously wondering what was going to happen because he was getting close to that 75 pitch mark going into the 5th. But I was happy to see him go out there. I think those are building block moments, whether you're a rookie or a veteran or somewhere in between guy. That third time through the order is always difficult for big league pitchers. So I, for one, was happy to see him go back out there for the 5th or the 6th. I'm sure that there would have been some not very happy people if he would not have gone out there. And, would it have been different as far as how that inning ended up? And obviously the Pirates won. We obviously don't know, but I think they stuck to their guns. I think they probably felt like somewhere between 80 and 85 was the number for Paul on Saturday. And, I was happy to see them stick to it.
Do you think that, and this is my rudimentary analysis here, Neil, which is why we have you on, because you've got the big league experience, is it as simple as just get that fastball command to what it was at its apex in AAA and then the efficiency will come, or is it more complex than that?
Yes. Short answer, yes. I mean, if you look at the numbers, 0-1, 0-2, 1-2, even 2-2 counts in the big leagues are very, very pitcher friendly. So we heard Derek Shelton talk about as the game went along a little bit, the fastball command. I don't think he got tired by any means, but I think he just that when all the hype kind of wore off and all of that wore off, I think that he just kind of lost his rhythm just a little bit. But that's going to be integral for him because you're a 5-pitch mix guy with the velocity and the movement. Anytime you're in 0-1, 1-2, 0-2 counts, you're going to be very successful, especially with the pitch mix that he has. So, and we've talked about it several times before. And actually, I think it's one of the reasons I think he's missing the Cubs the second time, which is by which I'm sure is on purpose. I mean, they want to limit how many times these interdivision teams are going to see Paul Skenes and Jared Jones, for that matter. You're not as worried about Mitch and Martin and some of these guys that are very well educated on how to navigate lineups and navigate individual hitters when they stack up 10, 20, 30, 40 at-bats against you. So I like what's being done right now as far as semi-protecting him from that standpoint. But no doubt about it, that you're going to see the pitch arsenal. You're going to see him use the slider a little bit more early in counts, I'm sure, as time goes along. But make no mistake, that fastball is going to be his bread and butter as time goes along.
Neil, I'm somewhat indifferent from yesterday's game, a moment in yesterday's game. So it's the bottom of the ninth. The bases are loaded. There's 2 outs, and you have a hot O'Neal Cruz at the plate. The count is 3-1, and he gets aggressive and obviously pops it up, and the inning ends, and and he gets out. Probably should have drawn a walk. How do you feel about that situation? Because it's like, I feel like that would be tough to navigate if I was Derek Shelton or I was, instructing O'Neal Cruz what to do at the plate. I mean, he's so hot, and you have a lot of faith in him right now. But also, the philosophy is it's 3-1. You want to draw a walk. How did you feel in that situation?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. And number one, you hate to be, as a hitter, especially when you're going good, you hate to have a passive mindset. As far as, okay, you got a big situation here late in the game. You get in a hitter's count, especially 3-1. You want to get your swing off. You don't want to miss a fastball and be late on something, which you obviously didn't do, but you want to stay in the zone. And sometimes you get into a little bit of a swing mode, what they call, where you're, before the pitch is even thrown, you're saying, obviously he's going to throw a strike. Obviously it's most likely going to be a fastball. Unless the guy is very, very confident in another pitch, but it's a catch-22, and you're kind of going, why did he swing at that? But at the same time, he doesn't want to be late. He's been really good to the pull side lately, especially, so he wants to get that bat head out in front. And for me, it was he just missed that ball, and it didn't need to be anything more than a hard hit line drive to most likely be a hit. And that's why baseball is so great and so frustrating at the same time, because it's such a game of inches as far as barreling up a baseball the proper way.
Neil, I think the stat that I saw over the weekend is that out of 41 lineups now written in by Derek Shelton, they've only had a repeat lineup twice. Is that something that would bother you as a regular everyday player or not?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, in today's day and age, it's very common. I know personally when I was playing, I always liked to know what, call it quadrant that I was going to hit in, the first 3, the second 3, the last 3 in an order. Just from a lineup construction standpoint, you want to know who you're hitting in front of. When I was kind of in my prime with the Pirates, I wanted to know if I was hitting in front of Andrew or behind Andrew, because it kind of changed your mentality. And I think outside of the unfortunate circumstances that you have, so many guys not really carrying their water as far as being hot at the same time. I mean, usually there's 1 or 2 guys that aren't rolling at the same time, but in this lineup, it's more like 3 or 4. It makes it difficult to just slate guys in the same spot day in and day out. So I know they're working hard to try to simplify that, and to hopefully keep guys where they're at. But man, it's hard. It's Kutch is going to give you probably the best, most consistent at bats in that one spot. I like him in that middle of the order just from that standpoint, because he's been barreling up balls. He hasn't been getting much to show for it. O'Neal Cruz, same thing. I like him 1-2 in the order, but he just hasn't been getting on for the most part this season. Obviously, Brian Reynolds is going to sit in that 2 spot. Ke'Bryan Hayes, it seemed like he was kind of on a path to be stuck somewhere in that 3-4 spot. But yeah, I always was a guy that really wanted to know what quadrant I was going to be hitting in the lineup on a day-to-day basis. And if I was going to be in there, against lefties, righties, whatever that may be, it definitely simplifies some things. But you hope as time goes along and maybe guys start to come out of this funk that they're in, that they're able to say, okay, here's the right-handed lineup for the most part, and here's the left-handed lineup.
Neil, we always appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. You guys have a great week, all right?
You too. That is Neil Walker.